A very good morning and a very, very warm welcome to the International Women's Day celebration with the HDFC ERGO team. It's such an honor here to be with, on one side, an embodiment of womanhood, feminism, success, and the ability to have proven beyond oneself. And on the other side is an organization which is taking massive leaps and bounds for not just as in terms of a business, but as a community which is building up an ecosystem of excellence in diversity and inclusion. A very warm welcome, everyone. It's my pleasure. My name is Deepshika, and I'm the founder at Speakin. We are delighted to be here today alongside Mr. Ritesh Kumar, Mr. Anuj Tyagi, and Sudakshana, who have taken the lead in building together such a beautiful platform. At this moment, Anuji, I welcome you to come forward and share with us your vision and the mission towards such a beautiful evening and the thought forward.
Thank you, Deepshika. Good morning, my dear colleagues. I am slightly speechless, slightly nervous because I just spent close to a minute with Dr. Bedi one-on-one, and you can imagine when somebody like me spends one dedicated minute with Dr. Bedi, I'm still spellbound. So I'll give me a brief moment for me to recover my senses and interact with everybody. But it's such a fascinating day, and happy Women's Day to all my women colleagues. Happy Women's Day to all the women in our lives. It's a remarkable day. It's a special day for your indomitable spirit. It's a special day for the women who have defied all odds. And I was briefly chatting up with Dr. Bedi. I said, today we still have specifically an evolved Indian society. Imagine what would have this society been when someone like Dr. Bedi started the career. So it's a nod to all the women around us. It's a nod to all the women in HDFC ERGO who have risen to the leadership positions, who are still carving their mark in the organization in this corporate world. Happy Women's Day. Happy Women's Day to the men also in the organization and around us, because in an ecosystem like HDFC ERGO, for every successful woman leader, it's also an ode, it's also a celebration, it's also a respect to the men colleague, evolving men colleague who have given an equal opportunity platform to women around us. Happy Women's Day to all of us men who, in my personal opinion, still needs to realize that till the times we continue to celebrate Women's Day, we should remember that the biases still exist. Otherwise, beyond the point, the society in an ideal world does not need to celebrate Women's Day. And it's that we celebrate this day is in itself a huge, huge step, because this day touches billions and billions of women across the world. This day also touches billions and millions of men around the world who, as I said, realize, remember, and appreciate that biases still happen. And this day encourages, or should encourage, all of us to ensure that we remove those biases. So this year's theme is Break the Bias. And who else better to speak with us, to interact with us, to guide us, to motivate us, as far as breaking the bias is concerned, than Dr. Bedi herself. Right? And I don't need to do any introduction to anybody about Dr. Bedi, but Dr. Bedi, let me just share my personal, very brief. आपने मेरी 3 generations को motivate किया है. So my mother was a school teacher when she retired, and I remember as a child, one vivid conversation between, और ये उस वक्त की बात है जब आप किरण बेदी के नाम से बड़े famous हो गए थे. So I remember that conversation between my mother and my father, and a school teacher, 2 growing kids, low middle class society. She couldn't manage, and she said, मुझे होगा नहीं, मुझे लगता है नौकरी छोड़नी पड़ेगी. And my father turned back and said, यार तुम्हें सिर्फ स्कूल में जाके पढ़ाना है, तुम किरण बेदी को देखो, वो पुलिस चला रही है, वो पॉलिटिशियन से मिलती है, वो ये करती है, उसके भी बच्चे हैं. So that's one conversation. आपने हमारी जनरेशन को तो इंस्पायर किया है डॉक्टर बेदी, और आपने जो मेरी नेक्स्ट जनरेशन है, when my daughter was growing up, उसको आपकी वो क्रेन बेदी, मिसेस गांधी की कार उठाने वाली स्टोरी बड़ी अच्छी लगती थी. So I would, whenever she, and I wanted her to be in army, I wanted her to be in police services, दोनों में से कुछ भी नहीं हुआ वो एक अलग चीज है, but I think she still, आज जब मैंने उसे बोला, so she's overseas and I sent her a message that I'll be interacting with Dr. Bedi and she says, wow papa, this is great. तो आपने तो generations को inspire किया है. But for my colleagues, as I said, she doesn't need an introduction, but कुछ चीजें शायद आपको पता नहीं होंगी कि Dr. Bedi was the first police IPS officer in India. Dr. Bedi also was an ace tennis player, which I don't know how many of us know, and she was the Asian champion in 1971 for the in tennis. So not speaking much, we all are here to listen to Dr. Bedi. And Dr. Bedi, thank you very much. It's an absolute delight to have you with us, and we will certainly ask you, understand from you as far as the breaking the biases are concerned. So let me just start the conversation, Dr. Bedi. और जो सबसे पहला आई थिंक हम में से हर आदमी को पता है कि हमने डॉक्टर बेदी को पुलिस ऑफिसर देखा है, हमने डॉक्टर बेदी को एक सोशल रिफॉर्मर देखा है, हमने डॉक्टर बेदी को गवर्नर देखा है, बट वी ऑल्सो वांट टू नो द लेडी बिहाइंड डॉक्टर बेदी, और क्या हुआ, द की एस्पेक्ट्स जिनसे आपकी पर्सनैलिटी बनी. प्लीज शेयर विद अस.
You see, the lady behind me is she does what the time requires. जिस वक्त जिस चीज के लिए है मैं वो करती हूँ. That's a difference. काम है तो काम करती हूँ, और अगर काम ज्यादा डिमांड करता है तो उसको ज्यादा देती हूँ. अगर मेरी बेटी मुझे डिमांड करती तो मैं उसको देती हूँ. लेकिन काम काम है, फैमिली फैमिली है. So ये जो सेंस ऑफ टाइम मैनेजमेंट है, सेंस ऑफ जजमेंट, इस वक्त तो हमारी कहाँ जरूरत है. मैं मिस जगह पर नहीं जाती. आई डोंट गो टू द प्लेस वेयर आई एम नॉट नीडेड. अगर कोई फंक्शन है और वहां मेरी जरूरत नहीं, मैं नहीं जाती. और अगर कोई फंक्शन है और मेरी जरूरत है, मैं जरूर जाती हूँ. अगर कोई डिनर है जहां मैं अवॉइड कर सकती हूँ और मेरी जरूरत नहीं, मैं नहीं जाती. और अगर वहां जरूरत है तो मैं जरूर जाती. दिस इज अ सेंस ऑफ selective timing. It's very, very important in life. मेरी जिंदगी में वही हुआ है. I have tried to be at the position where I'm required at that time, and for that long only, because मेरे लिए समय बड़ा कीमती रहा शुरू होते से. क्योंकि अगर मैं पढ़ाई के साथ एशियन टेनिस चैंपियन भी रही और मेडल भी लेती रही पढ़ाई में, डबल स्कोर, इसका मतलब यही है कि मेरी ग्रोथ जो थी, मैं अपनी बड़ी समझदारी से समय का उपयोग करती रही. काम वक्त काम, घर में घर, बेटी के साथ बेटी, खेलने वक्त खेला और सोने वक्त सोया. सो आई थिंक दैट इज. और खाने वक्त खाया. मैं बिल्कुल गलत चीज समय पर नहीं खाती. अगर समय नहीं है तो नहीं खाती, जो मर्जी कितना ही स्वादिष्ट क्यों ना हो. आई थिंक दैट्स बीन द पर्सन बिहाइंड. मेरी अपने आप ट्रेट आई. ये संस्कार से भी कह सकती हूँ, पर्सनल ट्रेनिंग भी है, ये हैबिट्स भी है. सो आई थिंक दीज हैबिट्स हैव रियली stood me in good stead. कई बार 24 घंटे मैंने पुलिसिंग का काम किया, बूट्स पहन के वहीं खड़ी रही स्टाफ के साथ जब मुझे जरूरत थी. जब मेरे स्टाफ को मेरी जरूरत थी तब मैं वही थी, चाहे वो 24 घंटे, चाहे 48 घंटे. अगर सड़क पे बैठना है तो उनके साथ रही. लेकिन अगर मुझे कॉल आई और मेरी बेटी की मुझे मेरी ज्यादा जरूरत है, मैं भागी आई. और कैसे मैनेज उस वक्त किया बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था. लेकिन मैं घर में, मेरा परिवार था, मेरी परिवार मेरी ताकत थी. और मैं हमेशा चाहती हूँ हम इंटरजेनरेशनल लिविंग पे वापस आ जाए तो बहुत अच्छा है. मैं इस वक्त इस चीज में बिलीव करती हूँ. सो दिस इज द पर्सन बिहाइंड.
Brilliant. I think sense of timing, the balancing, but it's easier said than done, Dr. Bedi. हमें से हर आदमी ये समझा है, पढ़ा है, but आपने actually प्रैक्टिस किया है. And it's very, very important. And और आप जब वो कह रहे थे ना कि जब आपके स्टाफ को, आपके पुलिस को आपकी जरूरत थी, आप 24 घंटे रही, मैं वो विजुअलाइज कर रहा था, कि आप मतलब बूट्स पहन के और उतनी टफ कंडीशंस में. आज तो फिर भी एक, इवन इन द पुलिस सर्विसेज देयर इज अ पैराफिनेलिया, देयर इज अ टेक्नोलॉजी एडवांसमेंट, और उस वक्त तो सब चीजें बड़ी प्रिमिटिव थी. तो क्लियरली आई थिंक व्हाट यू हैव डन, बट हमें से हर एक को, एंड आई थिंक in through some of these questions we'll try and pick up the best of the learnings that Dr. Bedi will give us in from her life, and we'll see how do we practice. But so time management is something that एक आपका जो चीज बहुत विच स्टैंड्स आउट डॉक्टर बेदी, एंड आई थिंक दैट्स द योर डिवोशन टू द सोसाइटी, आपने जो प्रिजन रिफॉर्म्स इंडिया में लाए थे, उससे पहले तो वो होते ही नहीं थे, द प्रिजन रिफॉर्म्स नाम की कोई चीज ही नहीं थी। तो प्लीज टेल अस मोर अबाउट दोज इनिशिएटिव्स। आपको कहाँ से आइडिया आया कि प्रिजन को एक एक्चुअल रिफॉर्मिंग इंस्टीट्यूशन बना दिया जाए, एंड माइंडसेट शिफ्ट कैसे लाए आप लोगों में भी?
अनुज जी, अगर आपकी लाइफ में अपनी वैल्यूज बढ़ जाए, आप अपने आप को पहले वैल्यू करें। आप दूसरों को तो इज्जत करेंगे, पहले अपने आप को इज्जत करें। और आपके पास क्या है? आपके पास सिर्फ समय है, और आपकी अपनी तंदुरुस्ती है, और आपका अपनी सोच है। सोच है, तंदुरुस्ती है, समय है, ये है आपकी पूंजी, आपके साधन। और पैसा इसी से कमाते हैं। आप पैसा किससे कमाते हैं? अपनी समझ से, अपनी एनर्जी से, राइट, और अपने समय से। अगर आपके पास एनर्जी नहीं, समझ नहीं, तंदुरुस्ती नहीं, तो आप पैसा भी नहीं कमा सकते। लेकिन पैसा इस तीनों चीजों को तंदुरुस्त रखने के लिए है, और उतना जरूरी है जितना आपको चाहिए। मेरी एक आदत थी कि मैं अपना समय की भी डोनेशन करती हूँ, क्योंकि मैं समय की वैल्यू करती हूँ। जहां मेरे दूसरे को डोनेशन चाहिए, मेरे पास पैसा नहीं है, आई एम नॉट अ बिजनेस वुमन, आई एम नॉट अ रिच वुमन, I have my limit. I am a salaried woman. But what can I donate? I can donate my time. I can donate my energy. I can donate my soch, my thinking. I can donate my intent. My prison reform was exactly that. मुझे एक आदत है कि जहां मैं जाती हूँ, अपने आप से पूछती हूँ मैं यहाँ हूं क्यों, मेरा लार्जर पर्पस क्या है। ये कुदरत ने मुझे भेजा, या मुझे भगवान ने भेजा, या मैं खुद आई। ये मिस्ट्री रहती है ना, आप क्यों आ गए, जैसे ये मिस्ट्री नहीं है। आज मैं आपके साथ बात कर रही हूँ, there's a reason. So it's mysterious how we connected and how we started to do. So I'm saying, मैं जब प्रिजन में गई तो मैंने अपने आप से यही सोचा, और मैं यही नहीं, प्रिजन में पहली बार ही नहीं था। It's from day one, why am I here? Whether I did a police assignment as a district police, whether I did a prison. So prison की चीज ज्यादा आपके नॉलेज में है। मुझे अपने आप से पूछा मैं यहाँ हूं क्यों। मैं बस दो जवाब आए मेरे मन से। एक, कि कोई भाग ना जाए जेल से, मैं गार्ड बनूं, कोई भाग ना जाए, क्योंकि अगर कोई भाग गया तो जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी होती है, सस्पेंशंस भी होती है, इंक्वायरी इन्वेस्टिगेशन भी होती है। और दूसरा, मैं गार्ड बनूं, जो मेरे पास है गार्ड्स, या मैं गार्डियन बनूं, क्योंकि मैं एक गार्ड नहीं हूं, मैं गार्डियन भी बन सकती हूँ। सो मैंने अपने आप को सोचा कि मैं गार्ड तो हूं, मेरे पास स्टाफ है, कंपनीज है, फोर्सेस है, वो गार्ड करेंगे। मैंने ये देखना है कि अपनी ड्यूटी ठीक से करें। मुझे गार्ड नहीं बनना है, मुझे गार्ड्स को गार्डियन बनना है। तो मैंने अपने 10,000 प्रिजनर्स का ये फैसला कर लिया कि ये जो जेल है ना, अब हम इसको आश्रम बनाएंगे, ताकि वो जो भी लोग यहाँ गलती करके आए हैं, वो जब यहाँ से जाएंगे वापस नहीं आएंगे, वापस नहीं आएंगे। उनको ऐसी समझ दे के भेजूं ताकि वह इंस्पायर होके जाएं। क्योंकि मैं पुलिस ऑफिसर हूं, मैं जानती हूं कि क्राइम प्रिवेंशन मेरा पहला कर्तव्य है। तो अगर प्रिजन अच्छी तरह चले, तो अगर कोई वापस नहीं आता, इसका मतलब क्राइम प्रिवेंशन होता है, क्योंकि दोबारा क्राइम नहीं करता है। तो जो चीज मानसिकता के लिए जरूरत थी, शिक्षा की, आध्यात्मिक थी, स्किल्स डेवलपमेंट की, वातावरण की, लोग, तो मैं वो लाई। बजट नहीं था अनुज जी, लेकिन मैंने समाज को जोड़ा है। I linked it with schools, ashrams, the Brahma Kumaris, the Art of Living, the Isha Foundations. I start to link them. और गुरुद्वारेस, हर फेस्टिवल के लिए वही गुरुद्वारा मनाते थे, इंटरफेथ। सो मैंने बिना सरकार के खर्चे के, क्योंकि सरकार के बजट में रिफॉर्म शब्द ही नहीं था, शिक्षा शब्द ही नहीं था, सिर्फ दाल चीनी चावल के लिए पैसे ले लो, खाना खिलाओ, गार्ड बनो। लेकिन मैंने क्या किया, गार्डियन बन के अंदर स्कूल चलाए, यूनिवर्सिटी चलाई, ओपन स्कूल खोला, विपश्यना मेडिटेशन लाई। तो ये कोई कीमत नहीं थी इसकी। मैं आपको बता दूं, अगर ये आज भी प्रोग्राम हर प्रिजन नहीं, वेस्टर्न प्रिजन्स में अगर कम्युनिटी एंट्री हो जाए, डोनर्स, आप जैसी कॉर्पोरेट्स को भी जोड़ा टू डोनेट लॉट ऑफ बुक्स एंड स्कूल बुक्स, सो अगर करने लग जाए, इट्स अ जीरो कॉस्ट प्रिजन, बिकॉज यू कैन लिंक द कम्युनिटी आकर लिंक कर देगी। मैंने देखा हर एनजीओ कोई ना कोई सेवा करना चाहता है, तो उनको ऐसी सेवा जब मिलती है, खुद दे के देता है। I've been to prisons around the world, लेकिन मैं आपको बता दूं, जितना एनजीओ नेटवर्किंग उस दिन उस वक्त तिहाड़ जेल में हुआ, एक बेमिसाल है। ये तो अनफॉर्चुनेट कि our work did not reach the international levels because we were not promoting it at that level. It was a very fit quest for a role modeling international model for no cost but reformed institution. No cost to the government, all community driven. So I created a model called 3C model. It was collective, corrective, community based. 3C, collective, corrective, community based. Ye 3C model, which has been now fortunately written in the book called It's Always Possible. But the question is, this is possible. So my beginning was, what am I here for? Purpose behind my posting. Purpose was not to be a guard, but to be a guardian. And all that guardian needs to provide to an institution, I provided. Even if I didn't have the money, I raised resources and gave it all my energy and time.
Amazing, amazing, absolutely fascinating. I think you, for me, there are three important lessons from what you've spoken, Dr. Bedi. One is the purpose. So for us as corporate leaders, when we come to office or when we interact with the society and the beneficiaries who benefit from our services, every time we do that, we need to also ask a question to ourselves: what's my purpose? My purpose is not only to sell insurance, but my purpose is to eradicate financial bankruptcy if there's an unforeseen event in anybody's life. The second, which really touched my heart, is be the guardian, not the guard. And for us managers, and to my larger set of colleagues who are listening us, let's try and be the guardian to our team members. Let's try and be the guardian to whoever comes in touch with our life. And the third is, if we have to donate, if we can't donate money, let's donate our time and skill set. Absolutely fascinating, Dr. Bedi. और मुझे उसी थोड़ा सा I'm sorry सुदक्षिणा दीक्षिका, मैं ना ऑफ स्क्रिप्ट भी चला जाऊंगा अब, तो आप मुझे बाद में गाली दे लीजिएगा. So डॉक्टर बेदी, आपके साथ ऐसा एक्सपीरियंस तो बहुत बार हुआ होगा कि कुछ जो रिफॉर्म्ड प्रिजनर्स थे वो बाद में आए, आके मिले आपसे, आपके चरण छुए. ऐसे एक्सपीरियंसेस आए होंगे आपकी लाइफ में काफी, और कैसा महसूस हुआ होगा उस वक्त आपको उनको देख के?
अनुज जी, बहुत सारे तो मेरी संस्था में काम भी करते हैं.
हमने उनको
एम्प्लॉय किया.
और मतलब हार्डकोर क्रिमिनल्स रहे होंगे अपने पुराने टाइम्स में. वो
बदल क्या है, मानसिकता है. क्राइम तो दिमाग में आती है. अगर आपके मानसिकता चेंज हो जाती तो क्राइम होना बंद हो जाता है.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
You see, the mind is a breeder of crime, negativity. You convert it to same, replace it by a thought called positivity. Why would you commit crime or violence? Same thing breeds violence. Same mind breeds peace. So what I did was, I brought them into meditation and yoga and sports and education. Everybody was studying. 9 to 11 सब पढ़ते थे. वहाँ स्कूल लगता था 10,000 prisoners का. Used school books से कोई खरीदी नहीं गई. और प्रवचन करने सब अपने आप खुशी से आते थे. ब्रह्म कुमारी रोज शाम को आती थी प्रवचन करने. सबका बीड़ी बूढ़ी बंद होगी. सब, nobody was smoking inside because I banned smoking inside the prison.
Right. And this then brings me to another related topic कि आपका एक तो जो करियर आपका शुरू हुआ, this career was, you went against the tide. मतलब पुलिस ऑफिसर, IPS कोई सोच भी नहीं सकता था. दूसरे, आपने प्रिजन में आके ऐसी बातें करी. मुझे तो वो 2 आंखें 12 हाथ वो फिल्म याद है वी शारदाराम की, जहाँ वो रिफॉर्म्स करने की कोशिश करता है. तो और आपने तो वो रियल लाइफ में किया. So आपने, how did you break these biases? First, when you entered as a police officer in a society, in a career where there was no women, and second, जब आपने ऐसे reforms लाने शुरू करे, so what were those personal biases that you had to work against?
You see, my life is investing into others. I believe whatever I believe, if I'm convinced is right, I invested into people, and that's for me an investment back. Because when I invest into people, I get a lot of joy and sense of fulfillment back. But when I waste my life, I waste myself. I invest, I don't waste. So I invest my time first into myself, and then I use the same investment to invest into others. Because I've been fortunately in a position where it was public service. It was serving others. So if I don't value myself, how would I value others? But I just don't stop at valuing myself. I convert that value into value addition. And value addition is, whoever I serve, they must inspire to change for the better. That's my role as a police officer, is crime prevention, is change their role. So when I ran the prison, for me, my purpose was they must not come back once they leave this prison. because that would mean achievement of my purpose. It's a dry cleaning institution. Why should they come back dirty? See, for me, it was dry cleaning people, dry cleaning the mind. Do you know I ran a 1,000 prisoners, 1,000 prisoners, one common meditation program called Vipassana meditation. It's historical in the world. Never has it happened where 1,000 prisoners मिलके उन्होंने meditation किया हो विपश्यना का. अगर आप में से किसी को टाइम है तो कभी देखना Doing Time, Doing Vipassana. It's a worldwide, very renowned film called Doing Time, Doing Vipassana. It was made by 2 Israeli women, and it's all about that 1 hour of Vipassana program inside the prison. It's a very rare film, and it is ongoing, running in all Vipassana centers around the world since 1994. 1994.
Wow.
That's a change.
Yeah.
So, and I was a practitioner myself. You see, if you have to add spirituality to your life, you may not sit and pray every day. You may not be chanting mantras every day. But if you live a life of value-based life, serving others with the spirit of giving, you will give your time and you will give your energy and you will add value to your own life, which is energy positive. I give you, you give me. So there's no negativity. There's no accusation. मैंने prisoner से कभी नहीं पूछा था तू किस crime से आया है, क्या करके आया है, कभी नहीं पूछा था, क्योंकि उसको embarrass नहीं करने के लिए थी, लेकिन मुझे पता था. So I knew who needed more attention. और लेकिन ये नहीं कि गैंगस्टर्स को मैंने छोड़ रहा था, गैंगस्टर्स को मैंने एक एक करके अलग किया ताकि वो अपनी फैलाए मत, गंदगी मत फैलाए. I made a high security prison. गैंगस्टर्स को अलग अलग किया, नहीं तो वो मालिशें कराते थे, बर्फ खिलाते थे, कोको कोले पिलाते थे, बड़ा कुछ करते थे. उनको एक एक करके अलग लगाया, अलग किया ताकि तुम गंदगी मत फैलाओ. तब उन्होंने हाथ जोड़े कि मैडम हमें बख्शो, हमें भी वो शिक्षा दो जो बाकियों को. तो उनमें सुधार आया. तो गैंगस्टर was my biggest achievement. The gangsters took me to court. They took me to the higher court because she has violated human rights. The court stood by me. Then no, she's not violated human rights. It's her duty to ensure larger protection. She's not violent. She's given you everything. तो मैंने उनको अलग करके सारी facilities और counselors दिए ताकि इनसे बात करें. So this is a story by itself.
नहीं absolutely. और मैं तो मतलब आपके चेहरे से आपको देख के जितना ममत्व छलकता है वो I'm sure आपके पीछे उतना गैंगस्टर्स में उतना खौफ भी रहा होगा of Kiran Bedi as an inspector general. So less people should take you lightly as far as. तो आपने but आप जब उस वक्त आपने जब करियर शुरू किया मैम, तो पुलिस विभाग को तो आदत ही नहीं थी महिला पुलिस ऑफिसर देखने की. तो वो क्या, if you could just share this, और आपने कैसे वो biases, stereotypes तोड़े, और how did you make a mark for yourself in that male dominating profession or the of policeman?
जब मैं पढ़ती थी, मास्टर्स कर रही थी अपनी पॉलिटिकल साइंस पंजाब यूनिवर्सिटी चंडीगढ़ में, तो मेरे वॉल पे एक पोस्टर लगाती थी मैं. और मैं साइन भी, जब मैं नेशनल टेनिस चैंपियन भी बन गई तो मैं साइन क्या ऑटोग्राफ करती थी एज अ 16-year-old. बी एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी इन योर लाइफ. मेरी आई यूज्ड टू राइट, इतनी लंबी करती थी साइन, नहीं तो अब मैं फटाफट किरण बेदी करती हूँ. तब मैं पता क्या करती थी, ऑटोग्राफ बुक पे बी एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी इन योर लाइफ. आप हैरान होंगे, मैं लाइफ में ऑर्डिनरी की लाइफ नहीं थी. मेरे दिमाग में शुरू से था मुझे एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी बनना है. और ये मेरी शिक्षा मुझे पेरेंट्स से मिली थी. माय फादर वाज अ वेरी गुड रीडर एंड अ टेनिस प्लेयर, एंड मॉम वाज अ वेरी गुड लवर ऑफ एजुकेशन. सो देयरफॉर एजुकेशन एंड स्पोर्ट्स एंड बीइंग एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी came through my family values, family inspiration. So I should sign as be extraordinary in my life. So मुझे तो extraordinary बनना था. जो मुझे मौका मिला मैं उसमें आ गई. मुझे IPS मिली, मैं लेगी. Because और मुझे उस वक्त पता भी नहीं था, there were no earlier women. मैं इसलिए नहीं आई to be the first. I became the first by divinity, by divine grace.
Amazing, brilliant. No. And so HDFC ERGO, Dr. Bedi, in my opinion, we take pride in creating an equal workplace. And आप अभी थोड़े समय में देखेंगे some of the recognitions that we would do that. I think, in my limited opinion, we have been successfully able to create an ecosystem जहाँ हमने खुद के biases और stereotypes तोड़े. और मैं आपको खुद बताऊंगा कैसे some of our colleagues broke my own bias, जबकि मैं अपने आप को और हमारे सारे colleagues, senior colleagues, my boss, हम अपने आप को बहुत evolved मानते हैं in terms of bringing in an equality at the workplace. But हमारे भी कुछ biases थे और मैं आपको बताऊंगा कैसे हमने हमारे colleagues ने हमारे खुद के वो stereotypes और biases तोड़ दिए हैं. But आपसे in this conversation में last में आपसे एक जरूर to the corporate leaders, to all of us, how would what would be your personal nudges to us कि हम किस तरह से और एक equitable workplace create करें जहाँ हमें, and ये मेरा personal opinion है डॉक्टर बेदी, जहाँ हमें Women's Day एक दिन celebrate करने की नौबत ही ना आए, हर दिन Women's Day बने. So what will be your message to us as corporate leaders, ma'am?
Look, I've been a corporate leader, I've been an administrator. The key is listening. Key is willing to listen and learn. Listen and learn, and then as a leader decide. The leadership decision has to go with you, with the leader. You have to be decisive, because indecisive is not being leader. Leader means decision and accountability. You must decide and you must be accountable. But before you decide, listen. And in that listening, make it inclusive. Listen to everybody. Listen to people. जब आपने कुछ मीटिंग करी है, be the last speaker, not the first speaker. पहले उसमें सभी जनों को पूछो. In fact, जो आदमी, जो लेडी चुप रहती है, उसको बोलो please contribute. अपना विचार दो. I need you. I need to hear you. Please speak up. Because some people like not speaking and remaining invisible and quiet. Doesn't matter. दो लफ्ज बोलो. Tell us what you feel about it. ये मेरा project है, ये situation है. What is your view? ये नहीं, मेरा कोई view नहीं, कोई तो view होगा. दो. And then be the last speaker, and then the concluder, and then the decider. Because once you've co-opted everybody, you listened to everybody, you learned. You may change your view because you've learned. And then decide, and then you are responsible for your decision. लेकिन कोई ये नहीं कहेगा मुझे तो सुना नहीं, लेकिन मेरे पास बड़ा अच्छा विचार था, मेरे लीडर ने मुझे सुना नहीं. उसमें listen to women. Women have a habit to remain quiet because वो सोचते हैं बोलेंगे तो हो, बाकी क्या कहेंगे. But if you provoke them, कि नहीं, I need to hear, I value your presence, I need to, because they will have a view of their own, which will be different and unique. Because they're coming from unique perspective. So when you listen and you learn, and then you decide, and then you act, and then you implement, right? And then you process. I think that is what makes you a leader. My word would be listening, learning, and this is what I did all through my police career. I used to listen to prisoners. मेरे prisoners के पास एक feedback box था जाता रोज. I used to ask for feedback from prisoners. Can you believe it? There was a feedback box. It was called a mobile box. अब तो emails है ना, तब कोई ऐसा नाम कर सकती थी. तो एक box जाता था postman लेके मेरे हर बैरक में. prisoner को मैं बोलती थी नाम लिखो या नहीं लिखो, मुझे अपनी बात बोलो. मुझे असली पता चलता था यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है अंदर. नहीं तो मेरे पास खबर चाहिए थोड़ी तो है. मेरे पास कोई खबर चाहिए. मुझे exactly पता हो रहा था किस बारे. Listen, learn, strategize after that, and then take responsibility. Once you do that, you can always be democratic, yet be decisive. You can be democratically decisive, and this will ensure that you value diversity, you encourage inclusiveness, and you get people heard. उनको तसल्ली होगी. ये नहीं है कि मेरी बात तो चली नहीं, कोई बात नहीं. सर ने सबकी या मैडम ने सबकी सुनी, सर ने मेरे लीडर ने सबकी सुनी, लेकिन जिम्मेवारी ले ली, अपनी मर्जी से करी, तो मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगा. See, when people have heard, वो like feeling हो जाती है कि मेरी बात, I'm a value. You are actually giving value to the person. Look, when I started my police service, I was the youngest. Many policemen were senior to me. What did I do? Every day go to a police station in the morning when I was district police. I used to go in the briefing time when they were all a roll call and they were being briefed. I used to listen to them. Say, बताओ यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है? बताओ क्या हो रहा है? क्या होने वाला है? आप क्या सोचते हो? क्या करना चाहिए? उधर ये क्राइम हुई, आज की खबर हुई, क्यों हुई? कैसे करनी चाहिए? I used to learn from them. And then decision तो मैं लेती थी as a deputy commissioner. But उससे क्या होता है? मेरी टीम बिल्डिंग होगी, कोऑप्शन होगी, कोलैबोरेशन भी होगी, डाइवर्सिटी भी होगी, राइट, सो बहुत ज्यादा कम्युनिकेशन भी होगी, क्योंकि उसके बाद मैंने उनको फैसला सुनाया। फिर मैं एक जगह से सीखती थी, दूसरी जगह सिखाती थी कि मैंने वो देखा है वहां, और फिर क्रेडिट भी देती थी, इनाम भी वही देती थी जिसने अच्छा आइडिया दिया। सी, ऑल दोस थिंग्स रोल्ड इन वन वीक, वन मीटिंग, ओनली बाय लिसनिंग and learning.
Absolutely. And I think such an important lesson. We all have heard, seen, read about the importance of listening in to be a great leader. But वो कहता है ना मैम, बहुत important चीजें बड़ी simple होती हैं, but बहुत बहुत मुश्किल होती हैं to implement. So I think to all of us as corporate leaders, listening, implementing, and then taking responsibility is extremely crucial. और एक चीज मैं मैम आपको प्रॉमिस कर सकता हूँ, हमारे HDFC ERGO में women are not hesitant to speak. तो हमारे यहाँ वो नौबत नहीं आती है कि हमें किसी को नज करना पड़े. But I think your point is extremely important that the diversity and inclusion automatically comes in when the leaders develop the habit of listening. So on that note, ma'am, thank you very much. And Deepshika, you may want to take the event further while we still have ma'am with us. And I know we have certain recognitions to do. Thank you very much, ma'am. It's been an absolute pleasure for me to interact.
Thank you, Anuj. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. What a conversation. And I'm sure it is a moment of immense pride for the HDFC ERGO family and each one of you who are logged in right now. Diversity has become a priority for HDFC ERGO in the past year, and this focus has witnessed this workplace to become more gender balanced in the coming times. Creating an impact in this area was imperative for us, and I speak for the HDFC ERGO family, and therefore it is essential that we recognize those who are creating this impact. The awards today, which is the Diversity and Inclusion Champions Awards 2022, are based on adding to the equality and diversity at workplace, and the start is through equating for the gender diversity targets. In terms of pure addition of female colleagues, of course, in the most meritocratic manner in the respective teams during this financial year. I'm delighted to present to you the first ever HDFC ERGO Diversity and Inclusion Champion Awards. We are joined by Anuj, who's around, who shared the morning with us, and of course, Dr. Bedi. Over to you, Anuj, and I start by inviting, so we have 4 categories, in fact, for the awards. The first category is called the Winds of Change Award. This category is for demonstrating sustained support in advancing diversity and inclusion at the workplace and has been awarded to the reporting managers who have hired maximum number of female colleagues. So may I welcome now our very first awardee, Dhanalakshmi Mani.
Dhanalakshmi, congratulations. So हमने Deepshika, for just to share with the larger audience and also with Dr. Bedi, हमने कहा Dr. Bedi, हमारा एक we all are committed to create an equal workplace, equitable workplace, or and there are colleagues, there are departments who've kind of taken the mantle forward and have contributed to ensure that HDFC emerges as an equal platform organization. So इनके it does not happen automatically कि किसी ने maximum female colleagues recruit कर लिए है, किसी ने, and I still remember I have to tell you the bias that some of our colleagues have broken. So हमें ये spirit को celebrate करना पड़ेगा, such that it also becomes a motivation to these people who have done it, in some cases maybe unknowingly, in some cases maybe as a strategy, and be it also as a motivation to other departments where the gender diversity still calls for greater effort. So this is the celebration, the DNI, the Diversity and Inclusion Award that you're seeing. So Dhanalakshmi, thank you very much, and absolutely delighted. And you see Dr. Bedi clapping for you.
The next congratulation goes to Megha Shyam Prabodh Shirodkar. Congratulations, Megha Shyam.
Congratulations.
The next in line is Aman Bhatia.
Aman, congratulations. We should all click the photograph, Dr. Bedi clapping for you with your name on the screen. It's a moment we all will cherish. I wish there was an award for me also, Deepshika, along with Dr. Bedi.
You're the creator. You are the creator of all this.
My award is, ma'am, this time that I've got with you.
They are all your awards. They are all your awards, Anuj.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
The Winds of Change Award, the final in this category, goes to B. Satish Kumar. Congratulations, Satish.
Congratulations.
Our second category of the morning, and of course of this Rever Day, is Falcon of Change Awards for demonstrating consistent passion to promote diversity and inclusion at the workplace. The award is for heads of departments who've hired maximum number of female colleagues in their respective functions, thereby keeping the organizational agenda as a priority. And the very first person, the very first Falcon of Change Award is Arun Kumar Sharma.
Congratulations, Arun. Ma'am, Arun heads our customer experience management department and operations department.
Congratulations, Arun. Next in line is Hitesh Birani.
Hitesh is head of our health business agency, ma'am. He runs a very large team. I was also very surprised to hear that Hitesh has hired maximum number of female colleagues, because again, I have a bias that front-end sales agency, we will not have too many women, but I was very, very pleasantly surprised. Congratulations, Hitesh. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. From operations to sales, next in line, the next Falcon of Change for HDFC ERGO is Surya Prakash.
Dr. Surya, ma'am, is our head of underwriting and claims health, and he does also lead a very large team, including the women colleagues. Vishal Sharma on the screen, as Deepshika has not announced, but I have announced. Vishal Sharma heads our entire bank insurance business, ma'am. And congratulations, Vishal. Surya, thank you very much. We all clap for you.
Fantastic. I think, I'm sure it's a very, very proud moment for you as well, Anuj. The next in category today for us is Committed to Change Award for making committed efforts in driving change towards a diverse and inclusive workplace. Again, this is award which is given to the head of department for demonstrating focused efforts for bringing in diversity. And the award goes to Vinay Janpamula.
Vinay, congratulations. Ma'am, Vinay is a very senior colleague. He handles our entire renewal business. थोड़ा complicated है, पर ठीक है. हमारा जैसे एक policy जब अगले साल renewal पे आती है, तो which is a very, very large business, and Vinay also handles some of the strategic assignments for us. Vinay, congratulations. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
और Deepshika, if I may, ma'am, ये वाला जो award है ना, the Pioneer Initiative Award, ये मैं I will announce, and let me also share with you, how some of us unintentionally carry the biases. So हमारा we have a very large motor insurance portfolio. गाड़ियों का जो insurance होता है, जो आप वो टो करके ले जाते थे, उनका insurance भी होता है ना, मैम. तो sorry. तो उसमें मैम जब गाड़ी का कोई क्लेम होता है, तो उसका एक सर्वे होता है. तो सर्वेयर्स जाते हैं. हमारी जो मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर हैं HDFC लिमिटेड की मिसेस रेणु कनाड, इन one of the meetings she looked at me and my boss Ritesh and said, यार तुम लोग क्या कर रहे हो, तुम्हारे यहाँ डाइवर्सिटी ठीक नहीं है. तो मैंने बोला, मैम हाँ हमारे बाकी डिपार्टमेंट्स में है, लेकिन जैसे कुछ फ्रंट एंड सेल्स डिपार्टमेंट है, या जैसे मोटर सर्वेइंग डिपार्टमेंट है, अब मैं फीमेल सर्वेयर कहाँ से लाऊं. So she turned at me like this and she said, this is the bias stereotype you have in your mind. You will change it. And ma'am, Atul Gujarati, who heads our entire motor claims, so some of us said, and I said, Atul, ये change करना है हमें. We have to have female surveyors. मैम मैं सोच नहीं सकता था personally कि women will go out, will do the car inspection, damage inspection, then we'll send the report. So Atul has broken this myth. Atul has broken this this bias that we have, and we now have I think 15 plus women surveyors in the organization. So this is an award to Atul, who is the head of department, for a path-breaking initiative, and I'm sure we'll have this. Possibly, ma'am, could also be the industry first. I haven't come across too many organizations where we have women motor surveyors. So Atul, congratulations. Thank you very much. We're extremely proud of you. Absolutely delighted. Over to you, Deepshika.
Thank you very much. Lovely story. Next we have, and the last for the morning today, is the Champions of Change Award for making committed efforts in driving change towards a diverse and inclusive workplace. This award will be given, or is being given, to the entire unit, the SBU, with the highest gender representation. And it is none other than Accident and health.
Congratulations. This award goes to Ravi, Surya, everybody in our NH team. Congratulations.
Congratulations to the entire team, and thank you very much, Anuj, Dr. Bedi, for giving us your time. At this moment, may I request, we're also being joined by Mr. Ritesh Kumar for taking the conversation forward and sharing with us his vision on the morning. So, may I welcome now Dr. Bedi. Dr. Bedi, we have a set of questions. In fact, I know, I saw the wonderful conversation between you and Anuj, and a very emotional, a very forward-looking conversation. We've received a plethora of questions from the audiences and everybody who's kind of come online, but I'm going to pick and choose a few given the paucity of time, and we'll take the first question forward with you. So can we start?
Deepshika, at this moment, I need to sign off. And Dr. Bedi, thank you very much. And I also welcome Ritesh. Ritesh, good morning. And over to you now, Deepshika. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Thank you very much, Anji, and thank you very much, everyone, for continuing to be with us. Dr. Bedi, the very first question comes from Anuradha Dhar. Anuradha asks, what motivated you to step up and become a leader and a role model?
I did nothing specially to become a role model. I just remained my authentic self. I just became and become, and it's a becoming. Life is all about becoming, because what's gone is made you today, but it's becoming as long as there's breath in life. I have not done anything to be a role model, but I have got inspired from people who expressed bravery, courage, sacrifice, giving. All this, I got inspired. But I wanted to be what I wanted to be. I didn't want to be what I didn't want to be. Like, for instance, what did I not like to be? What did I not like to be? Is to be the way women of my time were being migrated away from home. For me, that's migration. I didn't want to be a migrant like that. Sorry. That's migration for me. Because when you are stepping out of your home, losing your own identity, becoming financially dependent on another, and then you are looking for orders or serving the family by choice. You can do it by choice. I have full respect for that. You can do everything by choice. I wanted to do everything by my choice and not go the traditional way or the known way, the routine way. I carved a life of self-reliance for myself, and I remained a self-respecting woman, a dignified woman who would be provider. I wanted to be a provider, not like the men. Sorry, I'm not copying the men, but I wanted to be a self-provider. Let's say the word self-provider. And when you're a self-provider, but you grow up with a sense of giving, what happens? You become self-provider to provide others. So my life has all been self-providing and providing others, whether I'm in a position of government or as an NGO. As an NGO, when I had some resources, goods, or position of significance, what did I do? Every time I had a position of significance, I created this foundation. I created more projects to connect with people, prisoners, children, women, empowerment, rural areas, and all this. All this is my two foundations actually get the best out of me. Is my Navjyoti India Foundation and your India Vision Foundation. And your speaking fee, which you've given me, whatever you've given me, is gone to the foundation. I do that. All my speaking fees are going to my foundations to educate prisoners' children, or to educate children or women empowerment, etc. That's how I use. See, I provide for myself, and then I create situations, or situations get created to provide for others. They get created. I don't invite them. They get created. So I think that's, so I'm not a role model. I'm not designed to be a role model, but I've got inspiration for people who perceive, like for instance, the people who inspire me mostly are my freedom fighters who gave us the freedom in India, the freedom from British. And you know what? We only hear the known faces. But every time when I hear All India Radio every morning at 8 o'clock and 8:30, they're talking about the freedom fighters who were unsung heroes. And do you know in that there are teenagers, there are women, they were hung by the British. They were hung by the invaders and occupiers. You don't know, women were hung. Teenagers were hung. Didn't know that till I was hearing, because our history books are not telling us everything. So for me, they are a morning inspiration. When I listen to the All India Radio in the morning at 8 o'clock and 8:30 in English, there is a daily nutrition. And I'm no comparison to what they've sacrificed for the nation. So I owe you know what? You and I owe our freedom to them. And it's not very young, old. It's only 75 years ago. Until 100 years ago, there were men, women, youth, children, rural, urban, old and young, who sacrificed their life for us, so that India becomes free. And it became free 75 years ago. And you and I got voting rights with the birth of the nation. You know what? While American women had to fight for voting rights, you and I have not had to fight. You and I have not, we got it by the right, by the Indian Constitution. So I think that's my inspiration. So I'm not a role model. I don't be a role model, but I follow and I take inspiration from those who we can never repay for what they did for us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bedi. Well, I've taken away what you said sometime back, that you only strive to be extraordinary. You've not tried to be everything else, and everything else came along. Thank you very much. That was lovely. So, Anuradha, that was the answer to your question. Thank you very much. Next question comes, Dr. Bedi, from Pooja Kudtarkar. Pooja asks, what are the hardships or challenges you face while you are handling multiple roles in your personal and professional life? And how do you balance it?
Look, two kinds of hardships, if they are hardships. But the second hardship is a tougher hardship, which I'll talk about, personal hardship, is bringing up a child when you're working 24 hours. That to me is the biggest hardship. Having your boots on in uniform and working 24 hours with the men is not a hardship. Facing hostility from certain vested interests is not a hardship. That's part of professional life for me. I've had agitations, I've had hostility, I've had opposition, I've had criticism, but for me, that was not a hardship, because I had the capability as a professional to deal with it. And I dealt with it. And I put people in place when it needed to be. I put them in the place, showed them the place, right? But I think the real hardship is personal hardship. A personal hardship is when you have a child and the child is needing medical attention, and you are 24 hours on the job. To me, that's an unparalleled hardship. To me, that's unsurmountable. And how I surmounted it, thanks to my blessing of the Almighty, my mother was at home. I owe my career, all my achievements, to my mother and father, who were at home. They put aside their home in Amritsar and came to Delhi to be with me, knowing I needed them. And because they loved me so much that they stood by me. And that's when they nurtured and nursed my ailing daughter. So I think that's a personal hardship, and had I not had my parents' support, it would have been very, very difficult, very, very difficult. But that's called grace of Almighty. When they came and it became a home. So my daughter was looked after till she came over. So we had years long, she had nephrotic syndrome where the kidneys were retaining fluids. And from the age of 3 till the age of 14, imagine my peak police career. From 3 till 14, she would miss school, she would miss her tennis. She was also a tennis player. So every time she'd get well, mommy would take her to the tennis. That's the personal hardship. And I had to bear that hardship and then run back home moment my work was over and she would wait for me. I think that's the hardship. But that's a time when the message is working women need intergenerational support. And I had intergenerational support. I had my mothers-in-law, my mom, my dad, my sisters all pitching in, and we became an intergenerational home. And intergenerational home, I just fitted in like a daughter or a daughter-in-law or daughter. So I think that's the key. I think that's the hardship. Professional hardships, I'm willing to take on any. I know what to do with them because that's you can eat, you're capable of. But here, what do you do when you're not the doctor? You don't know what to do. You need another doctor, or you need caregiver, or you need supervision, and you don't have the time for it, or you don't have the capability, the energy. I think that's the hardship. And I dealt with it thanks to my mother. That's where I call it divine hand, divine blessings. I wish every woman would have this kind of support, family support, or she inculcates it, or she creates a support system by which she can work as fearlessly and as focusedly as I did, because I had a mother at home. There's no substitute for a mother. See how she became a woman behind a woman. I think I would put her ahead of me.
Fantastic. Yes, a support system around you, a 360-degree support system is imperative for growth. Next question, ma'am, comes from Dure Afshan. Afshan asks, there are still many professions where women face biases. What would you suggest in overcoming them?
Let's see, which example? Tell me which profession? Which profession?
Well, there is not here to elaborate. Let me elaborate for her. Like, for example, even Anuj talked about that, surveyors. There's a preconceived notion that a woman can't do a survey. And of course, traditionally, army has been one big place where we are seeing changes, Navy, etc., etc. So how do you overcome? I mean, traditionally in the corporate world, there were only executive assistants, HR, and receptionists. That has changed now. So
I think you found the solution, Dipshika. You recruited them. You overcame the bias by recruiting them. Not that they were not there in the market, on the society or the community. You recruited them. So you overcome the bias by recruiting and giving them an equal opportunity to perform, isn't it? So you put the ball in their court now. Look, you recruited on merit of your own column. Now you perform. Now, if during the performance, if she has an issue, that's where listening and communication is important. Right? So you already awarded people who recruited the maximum and the best. I think you awarded them. That's how you overcome bias, by recruiting, by removing the obstacles to the equal opportunities for equally qualified women.
Perfect. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you very much. The next question comes from Shruti Sethi. Shruti asks, we have a less biased society today. Who has changed more, women or men?
Both. I would credit both. Both have changed. Fathers have changed, mothers have changed, girls have changed, departments have changed, society has changed, infrastructure has changed, systems have changed. But all I can say is they're all evolving. It's not a revolution yet.
Fantastic.
But all are evolving. Everybody's evolving and changing. Well, change is the law. Growth is optional. Choose wisely. Let's choose now evolution towards a revolution of equality. Total equality, bias-free society.
Total equality, bias-free society. I'll ask one small question here, Dr. Bedi, and then I'll request Ritesh to come in and continue this conversation. What are some of the key drivers? I mean, you see HDFC ERGO making such a massive effort and a mammoth platform today to bring everybody together and to further the D&I progress in the company. So what, in your opinion, are some of the key drivers that you suggest that organizations should take up to support women in their journey with us?
I think recruit the meritorious. I've heard another company do one thing where they had a very small percentage of women joining their services. When the way you put the poster for recruitment, Is it gender neutral or is it sending biases? The way you recruit. The moment you say you want to look at sensitivity, if your post is saying we're looking for sensitive people, you are a bias for a woman. The moment you say we're looking for very strongly competitive, there's a bias for a man. Look at the way you design your recruitment poster, the announcement. Make it very, very gender neutral and make it gender blind. Then make it gender blind. Sometimes, you know what? It's a story where some men thought very, very many women may not be able to do very good orchestra. And they were not recruiting women in the orchestra. They made it gender blind. They covered it. They covered because there's no voice in that orchestra. It's only instrument, right? Do you know what? Once it was behind a curtain, they ended up recruiting more women. They suddenly realized many more women could do better orchestra. So they made it behind a curtain. So there was a bias where they thought women could not be great orchestra players, musicians, but they made it behind a curtain and then recruited. They picked up the voices and said these were the better ones. They were women more. So I think it's very important that when you recruit, what kind of message are you sending? What are you leading? Because first of all, the recruitment can be if you're looking for a man, can be if you're looking for a woman. But if you're looking for somebody who's equally qualified and gender doesn't matter, please look at your announcement of the recruitment. That is the key. Once you recruit, then keep grooming, keep listening, keep communicating, keep training, keep behavioral changing, keep sensitizing. Then it's an ongoing journey. And the ball is in the court of both man and a woman. A woman speaks up and the man identifies. He changes, she evolves. He changes, he evolves. So on one hand is an evolution, the other hand is willing to understand and listen. I think that's where harmony will be. Both have a role to play.
Fantastic. So, Dr. Bedi, just one leading point on that before I request Ritesh, your comments on what Dr. Bedi just mentioned towards your vision for Project Shakti. Dr. Bedi, women also fall off the professional journey at different stages of their life. You talked about your mother, you talked about your daughter. So, at different points of life, your parents are aging, your kids are growing up, etc. How do you manage that? How do you cue that as an organization to prevent and involve these women to stick to the organization?
The organization will have to step in to provide. Now the onus is on identifying special needs of such a situation, case to case. Sometimes it may be case to case to provide. Let's say somebody may be needing a day boarding school. Somebody may be needing a child care facility. Somebody may be needing senior care, elder care facility. Somebody may be needing facilities for the teenager who's heading for a career, so that they don't drop out. That means sometimes on the premises or networked. That means your company networks with facilities, outsources and then offers the woman who's thinking of dropping out to say, here is a facility, but it's paid for. That means it's contributed and paid for. That means you are identifying the reason for which the woman is, there's a midlife crisis, or there's a maternity crisis, or there's an elder care crisis. This will benefit both men and women. Some fathers are also single fathers. So I think we need to have these kind of premises networked. So you may not run a childcare in the company itself. You may not but link yourself with day boarding schools and admissions. Pay for them, contribute for them. So I think understand the reason why a particular woman is dropping out at what stage. It's important to understand. Unless she says, I want to be home, I've had enough. Then you work on maybe flexi hours. Then you make her work from home so that she doesn't lose out entirely. I think every case will be unique and you may not be able to standardize it, but I would say a network of these infrastructures, whether it's childcare, whether it's teenage care, teenage facilities, or day boarding school, or elder care, or nanny at home. You see, even a nanny at home. So you have a string of things which every family will be unique. And most important is the father contributes equally. father's behavioral understanding of running the home together to be equally shared, so that just as he doesn't need to lose his job, so should his wife not be able to not to do, just because something can be provided for. I think that would be, and maybe cut down on late night dinners. I think late night dinner should be a no, because that's what would send the parents home earlier. So cut down late night dinners, prefer having lunches and coffee rather than late night dinners. Late night, these are very, very heavy on energy. And actually, they are at the cost of the parents, the elder care time or children's time. Don't take away your dinner. Every dinner is a takeaway time of the children. So your networking should be over coffee and your lunches, or maybe breakfast. Maybe breakfast networking. But dinners are very expensive on children. In fact, I could not attend a single dinner if you ask me. I needed to be home. And therefore, I was considered as antisocial. But why should that be a culture? Why should that be a culture? Why? Don't you also have men have children who children are looking for daddy to be home? Be home. Be home for dinner. Be home for dinner. I'm saying something very revolutionary. Be home for dinner. Parents who eat together, pray together, stay together. So I think dinner time is a very important time for children. Don't take away dinner time from the children. And that is dinner. So that means let parents be home. So network over breakfast, lunch, coffee, tea, etc., but not dinners. They're very expensive.
I don't know what the sales organizations will have to say about that, but definitely food for thought. Ritesh, may I bring you in on that? Lots of food for thought for the D&I initiatives you put together, and congratulations on the morning today and Project Shakti.
Thank you, Deepika, and thank you very much, ma'am. I mean, I unfortunately was two timing today because there was some other meeting which was going on, but I still had the privilege because you were on the other screen, and I heard some of the things that you were saying, and it's actually amazing. I mean, we've all sort of grown up admiring what you've done, but this has been an absolute pleasure and privilege to hear you. And I mean, before I come on some of the things that you've said, I mean, let me on my behalf wish sort of all our colleagues a very, very happy Women's Day. And to all the men sort of who are the winds behind the sort of the wings, so to say, for our women colleagues. I mean, as a father of two daughters, you've often heard me say that, I mean, I recognize that nothing ever is enough to celebrate what women bring to our lives, our homes, our offices, our environment, our society. I mean, one always feels that one is, very advanced and thinks in terms of an equal opportunity organization. But I have no qualms in sharing that my daughters have inspired me to break some of the other biases every now and then. And now that they have sort of grown up and become young professionals and very sort of strong professionals, I've also grown over the years to now become a very, very strong believer of equity and diversity. And here I'm not only just talking in terms of gender diversity, but also including sort of all other forms of diversity, of inclusion. I mean, ma'am, we launched our initiatives Project Shakti and Project Purple last year. And this is something which has been embraced very well sort of by the leaders across the organization. And this is really something, I mean, which it's also, we are happy to see that this is also something which has received some recognition outside. But I think to our mind, this is really a mission, and it's sort of that we go on for. And we do feel that an equitable and a diverse workplace, is one where both men and women sort of champion the cause of creating a gender diverse workplace. And I mean, we've just now seen through the awards that you sort of kindly gave the commitment of our male colleagues. For me, while all the awards were very, very pleasing, but the one which sort of you gave to our colleague on the who runs our entire motor claims. I mean, this has been the classical one of breaking the biases. We always felt that we could have all the women colleagues in all the departments, but the motor serving department would not have sort of women colleagues. And we now have 16 sort of women surveyors. So sort of who are there. I mean, let me also, I mean, some of the messages that I picked up from you sort of through the morning, I mean, be extraordinary in life. Your entire journey from being a guard to a guardian, I mean, and that was a very, very inspiring thing. I mean, we've all heard about the prison sort of reforms you've done, but I really like the entire thing of that entire journey from being a guard to a guardian. And of course, I mean, your message to all of us that listen and learn. I mean, because you specifically said that this is for the people in corporate or people who are in positions wherein we can hopefully sort of make a change. I think you gave some very, very important messages about time management, which is not only something which is there for our women colleagues, but for everyone. I mean, early on in your conversation, you spoke in terms of the fact that be only where you are required. And that's something that you followed. I mean, I heard you talking very, very passionately about your daughter. And then also the message, I mean, I do sort of tend to agree with Dipshika that how do you miss out on your evening dinners and for sales-led organizations? But frankly, ma'am, what you said is holds a lot of merit, because I mean, in the morning, the kids have sort of gone away to school or something. So in the evening, if you can spend sort of ensure that for dinner you are at home, and I mean, definitely has given some food for thought. How successful or whether we are able to implement it to what measure, of course, will depend on so sort of what we are able to do. And of course, I mean, one thing that I must say that the last couple of years have also taught us to on this entire journey. I mean, one of the fallouts of COVID sort of has been this entire thing of work from home. And to my mind, this actually presents a wonderful opportunity to get a lot of women colleagues who at some stage in their life had to drop off the active career, saying that no, they have other important things at home. And this actually gives us a chance to see whether we can get and benefit from their experience for say a 2-3 hour a day or some time commitment which is there. So that's something which is there. And I mean, did hear your perspective in terms of the fact, I mean, I have always sort of said that if we are able to sort of handhold the women colleagues through that phase in life wherein they start a family, I mean, we see a lot of women colleagues drop off at that stage. But I mean, also your entire thing in terms of the fact that probably a lot of women colleagues at a later stage in life also drop off because of, I mean, things to do with sort of either the teenage childcare support or, I mean, elderly sort of support at home. I mean, because that's a stage when you also have to take care of the parents. I think this is something that we will also need to sort of somewhere embrace within our Project Shakti. And then I'm sure, I mean, Sudakshana and sort of Anuj have heard this, and we will sort of go out and sort of try and incorporate these to the extent that we are able to sort of incorporate. So I mean, want to assure you, ma'am, that I mean, as a organization, we want to sort of nurture sort of employees at every stage. I mean, and this is something which is important. We've taken some steps in terms of ensuring that we get our sort of women folk in every department. But I mean, you spoke in terms of, I'm encouraged to, towards the end, you spoke in terms of how the I mean, the invites for the recruitment should be, and you use the word sensitive. I mean, I was attending another forum, and they mentioned a very, very interesting thing, ma'am. They said that
Voice is gone.
I think Ritesh's screen just froze, but just awaiting. Yes, I think Ritesh is back.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I got cut off, and let me just try and repeat. So ma'am, I mean, for the recruitments, one of the things that I sort of heard at another forum was that a lot of our ads or invites for sort of for jobs sometimes go out and specify experiences. And they say that we need people with relevant experience of doing surveys. I mean, since that was the topic that we were talking of, and these need to be converted into skill based. So so that whole thing between skill versus experience, because they said that the women are a lot more sensitive. They will not apply for a job unless they see on the paper that everything fits. I mean, instead of saying that people need to have experience of running agencies, I mean, if you're saying that people have skills of managing channels, and then why is running a corporate relationships wherein we actually have a lot of women colleagues different from I mean that of an agency, but I also, I mean, we need to have some of this gender neutral advertisements sort of in order to encourage. So that's something which I did find very, very interesting. So thank you very much, ma'am, for taking your time out. We know that I mean, how sort of valuable your time is, but I mean, let me, on behalf of all the colleagues who are listening sort of to this conversation, tell you that this has indeed been a very, very special morning for all of us. I mean, thank you very much for coming in, for felicitating our sort of first batch of Diversity and Inclusion Champion Awards. I mean, this is something that we intend to now institutionalize as we go on through the years. And I'm sure in times to come, we'll have a lot more sort of women recipients of the award. I mean, per se. So thank you very much, ma'am. An absolute honor for us to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Phenomenal evening and a phenomenal morning, in fact, and a great conversation. Thank you, Dr. Bedi. Thank you very much, Ritesh. Thank you, Anuji. Thank you, Sudakshana, and congratulations to the entire HDFC ERGO family. Have a great Women's Day and enjoy yourselves with family, no late dinners.
Thank you.
Or early dinners.
Early dinners.
Yeah, early dinner and no extended dinner. Have a dinner, start an early dinner. Of course, it's early dinner is Ayurvedic.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a great
day. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Can I leave? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So colleagues, we've had have had an amazing morning. I'm sure all of you have listened to what ma'am has said. I mean, there is frankly, I mean, through the hour, there has been something for each one of us in this. So I mean, there have been a lot of learnings sort of for me. I'm sure that there are a lot of learnings for us as an organization that we would want to implement sort of out of this. But I think what's important is that for each one of us, what is relevant, we take those learnings and we see as to how do we go out and sort of implement that. Of course, moving on, I mean, so sort of, we've always said that, I mean, as an organization, as HDFC ERGO, we want to sort of constantly move in our journey to create a workplace that is diverse, inclusive, and equitable. And I mean, frankly, every day is an opportunity to do this, for us to gather sort of perspectives, to create a workplace that continuously sort of reinvents itself. And I mean, according to me, that is exactly what my One-tastic workplace is all about. And I mean, today has been a day of many firsts. I mean, we had the privilege of listening to Dr. Bedi. I mean, we had our first Diversity and Inclusion Awards. I mean, we also would be launching our first ever gamified digital induction program, One Up. And let's sort of quickly have a glimpse of this. Can we please have the One Up video?
Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much, Ritesh, for launching the gamified induction program. Of course, it's new, so it's not only for new joiners. We would urge that, all our employees experience it. Thank you so much. And of course, taking time out to grace the occasion for the, Women's Day celebration at HDFC ERGO.
Always a
So thankful, sir, to you. And constantly, leading this entire wave of change to make our workplace more equitable and diverse. And let us, on behalf of the HR team, assure you that your vision of creating an equitable and diverse workforce at HDFC ERGO, we uphold it at every step that we do and all initiatives that we take. And with these awards, I also want to thank all our colleagues who've taken time out to join our function today. And big congratulations to the winners of the first ever HDFC ERGO D&I Awards. And we will see many, many more of our colleagues' names on the list next year. Have a wonderful day. And I'm sure there are different celebrations that await. Just a closing note that as much as we value our women colleagues at HDFC ERGO, we value our male colleagues as well, because we do appreciate and understand that because of your enthusiasm, your participation, and your support, we continue our journey of making HDFC ERGO a more gender diverse workplace. So with that, happy Women's Day to all our women colleagues, and also to the women in our male colleagues' lives who make their lives so special. Thank you so much, and thank you so much, sir, once again.